Welcome back to The Explainer. So right now, there's this monumental shift happening at the very edges of our organizations. We're talking about the AI Native Coalface, that absolute critical frontier where human dignity actually meets incredible AI capability. If you've been wondering how AI goes from just being, some abstract strategy in a boardroom to actually doing the heavy lifting on the ground, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's just dive right in. Okay, let's map out how we transition to a truly AI-powered operation. Today we're hitting four things. First, the AI native coalface. Then, three AI operating principles. Next, the frontline learning loop. And finally, the new operational cadence. All right, part one, the AI native coalface, where the organization touches reality. So, let's take all these lofty, abstract AI concepts and ground them in the day-to-day operations we actually recognize. What exactly is the coalface? Simply put, it's the exact point where your organization touches reality. We're talking about your customers, your products, the invoices, machines, logistics, patients, transactions, the whole shebang. It's the execution layer where agents actually take action. And because it's where the real work happens, it is absolutely the most critical and honestly the most dangerous place to ignore. Why? Because this is the exact ground where organizational learning happens. The frontline sees everything that those polished executive dashboards completely miss. Now, there's a really jarring contrast between the old world and this new reality. In the traditional firm, the old role was basically just executing tasks, handling routine operational flows, and blindly pushing work through standard processes. But in an AI native role, the machine absorbs all that repetitive, tedious workflow completion. Humans, on the other hand, get to retain what makes them uniquely valuable: situational judgment, emotional intelligence, customer trust, and handling those really complex exceptions. We're essentially moving away from just measuring routine throughput, and instead we're focusing human time on exceptions and real relationships. But hey, this transition comes with a massive warning label. The core tension we have to manage every single day is between AI agent throughput and human judgment. If our operational anchors slip, we hit a very dangerous failure mode, a disskilled, completely alienated frontline that just passively oversees systems they literally don't understand. If AI agents replace routine execution, but we completely fail to capture human judgment at that point of contact, the entire system gets faster, sure, but it simultaneously gets way, way dumber. The whole learning loop just breaks. Moving on to part two, three AI operating principles, rules of engagement at the front line. So we clearly need a new rule book, right? We need to know exactly how an AI native coalface operates successfully without just pushing humans completely outside the accountability structure. These three operating principles define this entirely new operating model, and they answer three really fundamental questions. Step one, who decides? Step two, what gets gated? And step three, how exactly is the work organized? Let's break these down one by one so you can see how this whole architecture comes together. Okay, principle one, humans above the loop, not in it. Now, we've all heard the phrase human in the loop, but honestly, putting a human inside every single process scales linearly. It just creates a massive bottleneck. But on the flip side, human out of the loop is a total governance nightmare. So the new model puts humans above the loop. AI agents execute end-to-end within what we call a defined permission envelope. The agents autonomously do the work within those set boundaries, while the humans set the initial constraints and validate the final outcomes from above. Which brings us to the second principle, dealing with exactly what gets gated. This next idea brilliantly illustrates the operational complement to Nassim Taleb's famous barbell strategy. As Krevkovich points out, we need two-way doors, not one-way doors, situations where we can experiment and explore. And if it doesn't work, we pull back and go into the next pathway. Let's actually break down the literal difference between these two types of doors. Two-way doors are your reversible decisions. Because they can be easily undone without causing catastrophic harm, they're handed straight over to autonomous agent execution. They are built purely for speed and throughput. Then you have one-way doors. These are irreversible decisions. These are those critical, high-stakes moments that absolutely require strict, synchronous human approval and really clear gating. By separating the two, you get this amazing combination: the immense speed of AI where it's safe, and the crucial safety of human judgment where it really matters. Principle 3 focuses on how the work is actually organized. Get this. We are completely replacing those slow, rigid departmental silos with pod-based intelligence networks. Think of these as small, highly accountable clusters made up of 3 to 8 humans partnered directly with their own AI agent clusters. These fluid pods are armed with direct data access, and they essentially become the new highly agile unit of execution for the business. So the crucial takeaway here is this specific ratio:
1 to 20 plus. In the old world, a manager overseeing 20 direct reports would probably spontaneously combust, right? But when you empower these new pods with autonomous agents that handle all that routine work, the traditional manager to individual contributor ratio of 1 to 6 is completely obliterated. We are looking at a massive structural shift here. A single manager can now oversee a highly leveraged network of 20 or more individuals and their agents. It's wild.
And all of this builds into a concept called the fiduciary wedge. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, if pods are constantly shifting around, who actually gets fired when things go wrong? Well, the answer is that these fluid pods run on top of a very thin, fast residual accountability hierarchy. Even though the pod is the unit of execution, that underlying hierarchy remains absolutely essential. You still need it for evaluating performance, maintaining career continuity, and of course, bearing legal and regulatory liability. The pods form fluidly, but at the end of the day, someone named still has to sign the regulatory filings.
All right, moving into part 3, the frontline learning loop, feeding reality back to the machine.
So the coalface is no longer just some passive endpoint where execution happens. It is now the primary source of reality correction for your entire organization. Just compare how firms used to learn versus the new AI native standard. Under the old firm learning model, knowledge moved upward incredibly slowly. Think about supervisor notes, IT escalation tickets, quality reports, and those agonizing monthly customer complaints. But AI native learning, that is a continuous, immediate feed. Every single time a human overrides an agent, every weird edge case spotted, every field workaround used to fix a broken process, it all instantly becomes training data for the very next cycle. The humans are literally feeding reality directly back to the machine. And this entire dynamic creates a super vital new frontline role, the agentic operator. Listen, this isn't just someone pushing buttons on a conveyor belt anymore. An agentic operator is a frontline worker who actively supervises AI agents, identifies system failures, annotates those tricky edge cases, and constantly improves the operational playbooks. They're the ones actually teaching the intelligence stack what reality looks like outside of those clean, sanitized process maps. They provide the messy human context that the machine completely lacks.
Okay, final section, part 4, the new operational cadence, the rhythm of AI native work.
Now that we've got the principles and the learning loops down, how does this actually function day to day? Let's look at the new operational cadence. We are totally moving away from those outdated, boring weekly status meetings where people just sit around and read off lists. Instead, your daily pod stand-ups feature agent-generated summaries of exceptions and blockers. Weekly, you've got structured exception reviews where the humans update rules based on exactly what the agents couldn't resolve. Monthly, leadership runs self-disruption probes to see what else can be optimized. And quarterly, a backcasting refresh ensures the whole architecture still actually fits your current reality. It's a continuous, proactive pulse instead of a reactive one.
But how do you actually know if an organization has achieved this cadence? Well, you look at the ultimate leading indicator of real change, the CEO's calendar. It serves as a strict litmus test. Are they still having the same old, tired strategy offsites? Are they still relying on those ancient, slow approval chains? Are they still running the old all-hands cadences? Because honestly, if leadership is still operating the old way, the redesign is just theater. It means the transformation hasn't truly reached the coalface. Which brings us to our final provocative question to leave you with today. Is your transformation real, or did you just buy a faster typewriter? Are you fundamentally redesigning the way human dignity and AI capability interact at the coalface? Or are you just using highly advanced technology to blindly mimic the exact same old ways of working? I want you to think really deeply about that as you apply these principles in your own organizations. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay focused, and I'll see you next time.